Welcome. Today, we're digging into the Mosaic Company. Now, you might not have heard of them, but trust me, they're a huge player in an industry that affects literally every single one of us, growing the food we all need to eat. So let's get into it and see what really makes this company tick. Okay, so to really get what Mosaic is all about, you first have to understand the massive global challenge they exist to solve. This quote from S&P Global Ratings just nails it. Think about it, right? We have more people on the planet, more of us are moving to cities, and we're not exactly making more farmland. That means every single acre has to produce more food than ever before. That squeeze, that fundamental pressure, well, that's the engine that drives Mosaic's entire business. And that's a perfect lead-in to our first section here, feeding the future. This isn't just some catchy marketing slogan. It plugs directly into their official mission, which is to help the world grow the food it needs. So the big question is, how were they set up to actually do that? You know that old saying in real estate, location, location, location? Well, it is absolutely true here, and it's a huge part of Mosaic's strategy. By setting up shop in North America and Brazil, they've planted themselves smack in the middle of two of the world's agricultural powerhouses. The other two big ones, by the way, are China and India. Being right there in the heart of it all gives them this incredible scale and influence across the entire global food supply chain. All right, so we've got the why down, this global need for more and more food. But what about the how? How on earth does a company even begin to produce millions upon millions of tons of crop nutrients? For that, we're going to dive into our next section and go inside the digital mine to see these massive operations for ourselves. Let's just start with a number that'll give you a sense of the scale we're dealing with. $3 billion. That's with a B. That was the investment they poured into just one project, their Esterhazy K3 mine up in Saskatchewan, Canada. And this wasn't just any old mine. It was the first new underground potash mine in that province in over 50 years. A massive, long-term bet on the future of food. And what does a $3 billion bet get you? Well, it gets you this. The Esterhazy complex is now the largest potash operation on the entire planet. Its annual capacity, 7.8 million tons every single year. It's almost impossible to even wrap your head around that much material being pulled out of the ground and processed. So what is all this stuff? 7.8 million tons of what exactly? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a whole portfolio of different products. You've got your standard myriad of potash, they call it MOP, and it's kind of the workhorse fertilizer, all the way up to really high-tech performance products like Aspire. These are the actual tangible goods that go from that giant mine to farms all around the globe. All right, let's switch gears. We've seen the massive mines and the minerals, but how does all of that heavy lifting translate into dollars and cents? That's what this next section, the financial scorecard, is all about. So let's start at the top with what they call the top-line number. For the 2025 fiscal year, Mosaic's net sales hit $12.1 billion. Basically, that's all the money that came in the door from selling their products. It's the biggest, broadest look you can get at how much business they did in a year. And then, of course, you've got the bottom line. After you pay for everything, and I mean everything, from running those huge mines to salaries, you name it, what's left over? In 2025, that profit, their net earnings, came in at just over $540 million. Now, if you're an investor, this is a number you really care about. Diluted earnings per share was $1.70. The easiest way to think about it is like taking that whole $540 million profit pie and slicing it up, with each slice representing one single share of the company's stock. But here's the thing. Looking at just 1 year can be kind of misleading. You've got to look at the trends to get the real story. And just look at the return on equity here, a key measure of profitability. It's bouncing all over the place, right? This points directly to one of those big risks we'll get to in a minute, price volatility. The prices for these nutrients can swing wildly, and that can really hammer profitability from 1 year to the next. So with all this mining and all this money, who's watching the shop? Who makes sure it's all being managed responsibly? Well, that's where our next section, leadership and accountability, comes in. Think of this as the corporate rulebook, the system that's supposed to ensure the company is run in the best interests of its owners, the shareholders. And check this out, because this is a really big deal in the world of governance. A full 92% of Mosaic's board of directors are independent. That means they aren't part of the day-to-day management team. Their entire job is to be an objective outside voice, to ask the tough questions, and to hold leadership accountable for the shareholders. You've probably heard this term thrown around before, say on pay. And honestly, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a vote that gives shareholders a direct way to say, yep, we're cool with how you're paying the top executives, or nope, we've got a problem with this. It's a powerful feedback tool. And in 2025, Mosaic's plan got a big thumbs up with over 93% approval. And here's another key piece of the puzzle when we talk about shareholder influence: proxy access. This is another important right. It basically gives large, long-term investors the power to nominate their own candidates for the board of directors and get them on the official ballot. It's a very direct way for the company's owners to bring in fresh perspectives. Okay, so we've looked at the mission, the operations, the finances, and the governance. Now let's pull back and look at the road ahead. What does the future hold for Mosaic? That brings us to our final section: future risks and rewards. This slide really lays it all out, the good and the bad, based on S&P Global's analysis. On one hand, you have these incredible strengths. The long-term demand for food isn't going anywhere, and Mosaic has the size and the market position to meet it. But then you flip the coin. They face some serious risks. Those commodity price swings can crush their earnings. They aren't always the cheapest producer out there, and maybe most importantly, the world is watching their environmental and social impact more closely than ever before. And so it all really boils down to this one critical question. It gets right to the heart of the company's story. They have this incredibly vital mission, but to pull it off, they have to navigate the choppy waters of market volatility and the rising tide of environmental pressure. How they answer that challenge won't just determine the future of the company, it'll play a role in our global food security too.